Hey Huck, come here. Say something funny.
Chicken butt.
Ah! Pretty good. All right, so this is my gear video part 2. And I was going to talk about my longbow and what longbow I use. Got the hunts I do have on the channel that I use my longbow on. I got a lot of questions about what I use, my arrows, my broadheads, my poundage, all that stuff. So I'm going to cover that in this video. First gear for the day was pretty good. Okay, so this is my longbow. I've had it for a few years now. I really like it. It's hard for me to get away from it now. It's once you find a longbow that you love, it's hard to put them down, to be honest with you. This one is primarily made out of black and white ebony wood, and I don't know exactly what this other type of wood is. It's like this red. What, bud?
I'm gonna race you there.
Race me there? On your mark, go. Hey, you've cheated.
No.
You're cheating. You're cheating. You're cheating. How'd you get so fast?
Because I watched Lightning McQueen.
Because you watch Lightning McQueen?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Hey.
Hey, where are you going to ride to? In the woods?
Yeah, because we're going to do a shooting video.
Shooting video about my longbow?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I was calling you.
Okay.
Because I want to help you. I didn't been outside before.
You've been outside before?
I didn't. I've been watching shows every time. It gets so hot, it gets so cold in there. That's why I need to go out of the house.
Get cold in the house?
Yeah.
You got cold in the house, so you had to come out here in the heat?
Yeah.
That's one way of doing it. I like black and white ebony. It just almost looks like camo to me. So that's kind of why when I saw this bow, I was drawn to it a bit. The string that's on it, it just came from Stalker Stickbows. I believe he probably makes these things. I could be wrong there, but nothing fancy about the string. I actually put 4 of these cat whiskers on the string itself. Just helps quiet things down. I don't know if you actually need 4, but that's what I ended up doing. It has some, that's actually elk horn tip overlays on them, which is pretty cool. What else can I tell you about this? It's 47 pounds at my draw weight. What I would tell you when you're getting a longbow or starting out in traditional archery, in your ego or your mind thinks you need some type of a heavier weight, I would just, whatever you think you need, I would go down 10 pounds probably. That 45 to 50 pound range is a really good hunting bow weight anymore. With the new bows and the glue and the different bowyers we have now in the traditional bow world, the bows are actually really efficient. And 47 pounds, so I killed my buck in Indiana with this bow right here this year and blew right through him. So that's my bow itself. I love the thing. So I recommend Stalker Stickbows. I know South Cox is the bowyer that owns Stalker Stickbows. He's actually been on before the Echo, way back when we first started, and it was just an audio version of the podcast. So go and check that out if you want to hear about South. He's a mule deer killer and he lives in Colorado. Okay, so next is my quiver. I've always used Selway quivers. There's a lot of good quiver makers out there, but Drew over at Selway did something real cool for me, and he put the Beast logo on this quiver and then gave it the nice accents with like the neon green color, which I freaking like that thing a lot. It's a 6-arrow quiver, and I carry 6 arrows in it all the time. Something I do, I always carry a judo point on one of my arrows, and I always carry it, I always put it in the one that's kind of farthest away from me, that way I don't actually grab it. But benefit of shooting a traditional bow is you can like stump shoot with it and stuff. This thing allows you to stump shoot and kind of have fun with it. So when I've taken it on an out-of-state hunt and I want to just like go and just shoot a little bit, you just shoot it into the ground, and it won't hurt the arrow or anything, as long as you don't hit anything super hard. The arrow itself though is at Easton. It's their 6.5. It's honestly just their 6.5 millimeter carbon arrow. It's just their cheaper version of their kind of their hunting arrow, and it's in a 500 spine. I don't know exactly how long my arrow is, to be honest with you. It's I cut it down about 1 inch from standard, and that's just how it tuned out. Now, probably the heartbeat of all this is this broadhead right here. That is a 200 grain Razor single bevel broadhead, and holy cow, I shot my buck in Indiana with this particular head last year, and I was super impressed with the blood trail I had gotten out of this head. I'm talking about, it opened that buck up and just was crazy how much blood came out of it, which was you know, always a good thing, and complete pass through. What's unique about the 200 grain head here is that it's a little bit wider than your typical single bevel fixed blade heads. A lot of them will be like 1 1/8 inch cutting diameter. This one here, I think these are 1 3/8 inches or something like that. So it's just a little bit wider head. I'm actually going to shoot this out of my compound this year too. So you guys can see that there. You guys can see that there. Super, super good head. I had the guys from Razor's broadheads on the show about a month ago, and the detail that they put into making this head is pretty phenomenal. They're just two guys that are huge fans of Before the Echo and the Hunting Beast, and I'm a big fan of them. So if you guys haven't checked out Razor broadheads and you want to shoot some kind of a single bevel head, I can't recommend this one enough. It's been my favorite one. I've shot a lot of them. Something else that they are doing, and I don't get kickbacks from these guys or anything, they're just buddies, and since they're fans of the show, you guys get 15% off. I think it's 15% off, 10 or 15% off their broadheads if you use the code BTE. So I'll leave that in the description of this video. Again, nothing, I don't get anything from it at all. They just are like, hey, you care if we give your guys' audience, I think it may be 10% off, a discount? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I think that would be cool. So if you need some new broadheads and you want to shoot single bevel, maybe go check those guys out.
That guy's gonna eat you.
Yeah, okay.
Shoot him.
The ghost's gonna eat me? I don't know. So I wanted to get into a little more detail about my setup for you guys, so that if you have any questions at all. Up front on my arrow itself, I have a 100 grain stainless steel insert in here. I think it was made by Ethics Archery, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I've had them for a long time. I can't remember where I ordered them from. And then my head is 200 grains, and I shoot a 200 grain broadhead. Go ahead, they're up there.
I like that.
What are you gonna tell them?
See, my side is so fast, and how this guards you in the woods.
It's hard telling, buddy. That looks like from your great papa probably had that in here. It's what he chewed back in the day. You want to pick it up and put it in your side-by-side?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. This woods I'm in, my grandpa planted, we bought the place off them about 10 years ago, but there's like little bits of my grandpa everywhere, so it's kind of cool. And out of my longbow, I shoot right wing feathers on... One more thing, yep, then I gotta finish this video.
Is he? You know my great Sammy?
Your Aunt Sammy?
Yeah.
They don't know your Aunt Sammy, nope.
Why?
They just don't. Not everybody knows Sam.
Bye.
So I like to shoot right helical out of this particular longbow, and the reason I shoot right helical is whenever I shoot this arrow, bare shaft without the fleshings on it, out of this bow, it naturally likes to turn to the right, and that's why I chose to shoot right helical out of this particular bow. Some bows can be different than that, so you got to kind of check that. And I'll show you maybe when I do my compound bow, I'll show you how to look for that. I also like to shoot a wrap on my arrows. You don't need to, and it probably arguably reduces performance of an arrow, but I think it looks cool and you can see the arrow better. I just shoot a standard nock that came with these Easton arrows, and they fit my serving really well, so I didn't change that or anything. That's about all I have with the arrow itself. I was going to talk about how I actually shoot the bow and how I aim too. Okay, one thing that I really get asked a lot about is like, how do you shoot these longbows? There's a lot of different ways of shooting a longbow. I'm not going to go into form and all that stuff. I'm just going to kind of tell you how I aim in air parentheses. But a lot of people with a longbow, you can shoot instinctive, which is essentially what I do. And what that means is you pull the bow back, and essentially you're burning a hole with your eyes in the target, and you let the arrow go, and it's supposed to go where you are looking. A really effective way of aiming is to take the end of your broadhead and figure out your gaps. And what that means is, if I pull this bow back and I put this broadhead, like let's say it's probably for me about halfway down that goat's leg, that arrow will impact right behind the shoulder. So you're trying to figure out your gap, and the way you start that is that you figure out your point on. And what that means is, whenever I stand back, probably for this bow it's about 34 yards. If I stand back at 34 yards and I put that arrow right on the heart of that goat, that arrow is going to land right in the heart of that goat if I make a good shot. And as you move closer, you got to aim lower. So you figure out, like, okay, now I'm at 22 yards, I got to aim 8 inches lower. So you put that broadhead, when you pull it back, 8 inches below your impact point, and produce a shot, and that should hit right where the you're looking. For me, that, if I was going to start all over, that's probably how I'd learn to shoot. For me though, it kind of psychs me out for some reason when I'm trying to aim with my longbow. So I've gotten to where I shoot enough. I have a little 3D course out here that I just kind of shoot instinctive, and I try to produce a good back tension shot that is consistent. So I actually just burn a hole with my eyes in the target and let my instincts kind of take over as far as where my bow needs to be aimed at, and then I try to produce a good shot with good back tension, and take my time and have a good release and all that. The main difference between a longbow and a compound bow is your mistakes are magnified probably 5x compared to a longbow, compared to a compound to a longbow. And what I mean by that is, like at 20 yards with your compound, if you miss the target by 2 inches, like say you're aiming at a 1-inch dot and your arrow hits 2 inches to the right because you flinched a little bit, or maybe you punched the trigger just a little bit, 2 inches isn't that big of a deal. Well, with a longbow, if you punch the trigger, or you flinch a little bit, or you collapse your shot, or any of that stuff, at 2 inches, it turns into 10, 12, 15 inches off. That's a big deal. So that's the biggest difference, is your mistakes are just more magnified. Anybody can learn to shoot one of these things. I'm not some superhuman that can, because I kill a deer with a longbow. Some people think it's like an impossible feat to do anymore. It's like, back in the day, this is all people had, and there's thousands of bow hunters that still use these things and are more deadly than you'd ever know about. So one thing I forgot to cover that I wanted to is this tab right here. This is the tab I use, and this is the only tab I've ever used consistently. I've tried different ones, but I keep going back to this one. This one came with my very first bow I bought, my very first recurve bow I bought. I bought it used and this came with it. This is a Fred Eichler tab, and holy cow, guys, it's the best tab I've ever used. It's not super expensive. They're like 15 bucks. They have a nice like soft leather. I really like how they're real flexible. Some tabs can get kind of stiff for me. I just like to feel the string in my hand when I anchor and stuff, and I like to feel that pressure in my hand. And this is a super thin tab that allows me to do that. If you don't like feeling the string in your hand and all that kind of stuff, you have to get something different. But this is the one that works for me. All this stuff I'll link in the description below. Don't forget, if you guys are interested in getting some single bevel broadheads, those razor broadheads are a good option, and you guys get a discount by using the code before the Echo. I'll leave it in the description below. I think it's before the Echo. Look in the description if you want some. What do you think, buddy? Is that good enough for the longbow video? Oh!
Yeah.
You think that's good enough? Did we cover everything? Oh, I like how you messed up all my feathers there. That's nice of you.
I like put the sharp things onto the ground.
Yeah?
If I grind the holes, now I do like shot rabbits under there.
You're gonna shoot some rabbits underneath there?
Yeah.
I heard him in here messing with them, but as I was talking, I didn't realize he was screwing with the feathers. Okay, everybody, see you later. I'll be looking for another video about gear.
Bye.
Bye. See you guys.